another episode here at Star Flag Media. Today is a big day and also a sad day in a lot of ways. And I'll get to the news immediately. The biggest news today has to be, uh, no question, the cancellation of E3. And today is March 30th, 2023. Um, there hasn't been a proper E3 since they canceled it during the pandemic. And here we are. They canceled it again in 2020, in 2022, and they were going to revamp it and relaunch this year. Well, a lot has happened in the last 3 years. So almost a year after announcing that it was going to return, turns out the Entertainment Software Association announced today that uh, announced today to its members that this year's E3 is canceled. Here we have IGN reporting on the incident, and they say two sources have confirmed to IGN the organization announced the cancellation via an email sent out to its members today. The email said that while E3 remains a beloved event and brand, that the 2023 version simply did not garner the sustained interest necessary to execute in a way that would showcase the size, strength, and impact of our industry. The ESA concludes the email by reiterating its commitment to advocacy work. It does not mention undertaking the show again in future years. This may be the end of E3 as we know it. It may not ever come back. Uh, Following IGN's report, the ESA issued the following public statement from Kyle Marsden-Kish, Global Vice President of Gaming. And it says, this was a difficult decision because of all the effort we and our partners put towards making this event happen. But we had to do what was right for our industry and what's right for E3. We appreciate and understand that interested companies wouldn't have playable demos ready, and that resourcing challenges made being at E3 this summer an obstacle they couldn't overcome. For those who did commit to E3 2023, we're sorry, and we can't put on the showcase you deserve and that you've come to expect from ReedPop's event experiences. The press release adds that ReedPop and the ESA will continue to work together on future E3 events. Um, it doesn't look like there may be any more future E3 events. You have to think about what happened in the last. Let's go far back. Ever since Nintendo started their Nintendo Directs, um, that was the first big nail in the coffin. It was like, okay, one of the biggest players in the industry is not really showcasing their events live anymore. This was, after Nintendo actually had some disastrous E3s with some hiccups and some embarrassing performances with things on the Wii, like Wii Music, which was just awful. I don't know if you guys remember that. But yeah, it was just another nail in the coffin. Nintendo pulled out, and then all of a sudden this year, Xbox pulled out, and then PlayStation pulled out, and then Ubisoft pulled out, and it was like, oh my god, every single big time player is just not gonna be there. Uh, so yeah, this probably is the end of it. When you look at Nintendo's doing Nintendo Directs, they eliminated the live event aspect of it where something could go wrong, and we saw that happen a lot across different presentations in the past. Uh, we still see it, like for example, with Blizzard when they announced their mobile games, and you had that live feed from the audience and live feedback. It wasn't a controlled environment for the developers or the companies. So, putting a video direct with a prepackaged video, it's polished, you get editing in there and make sure that everything works the way it's supposed to. And there's no need anymore in the age of the internet for us to tune in, which most of us were already doing anyway, onto a video feed. Most people weren't able to go to E3 physically, so this is just eliminating that physical aspect of it. it is still sad to me. In the back here, you'll see I have my favorite E3 moment of all time is E3 2004, the debut of Reggie Fils-Aimé as vice president of Nintendo of America's marketing department back in those days. And, he comes out and they talk about how he's there to kick ass and he's there to take names and play games. And, he had this no nonsense attitude about really spearheading and turning Nintendo's kitty image around at that time. He talked about the Nintendo DS going to market. Just a different moment in time. If you could just freeze frame that, it was very different. Again, this was still early on in when we talk about broadband internet and all that. So people were just starting to be able to stream these events live, and that moment really kind of captured Reggie's aura and kind of made him a superstar at that point in time. We're not going to get moments like that again, probably ever, if E3 is gone forever. So it is kind of sad, that we are losing what used to be the biggest thing to look forward to every summer, right? Was what are going to be the big games? Are they going to reveal a new system? Is your favorite franchise coming back from the dead? It's something that you haven't played in years. Is something going to get remastered? Now you're just going to get prepackaged videos, and I think it just loses a little bit of that excitement. It just kind of does. And, it'll go away, and future generations won't really know what that's about. Maybe it's just me as an old guy just kind of reminiscing with rose-tinted glasses, but who knows? But yeah, since most companies are now opting for digital showcases, it just doesn't make sense for the ESA to go through renting out, the Los Angeles Convention Center, which is a gigantic convention center, and have it be full of indie games. I mean, we got PAX East, and we've got, the original PAX events if you want to go and see things like that anyway. And ironically, Nintendo was at PAX East, and Sony was, and these developers are at those conventions to smaller scales, and yeah, E3 is pretty much done. So yeah, I mean, let me know what you guys think. What was your favorite E3 moment? Do you have any? Are you sad that E3 is going away, or is it just normal? Is this what the status quo is going to be going forward for us, and are you okay with it? Yeah, I got one more kind of thing that I wanted to touch upon. Actually, two more things. The second story, which actually was my lead-in story before this E3 event being canceled, happened. I guess, this is what I was actually going to talk about today, and it was Sony's PlayStation VR2 reportedly is off to an underwhelming start. And so Sony reportedly is only expecting to sell 270,000 units by the end of March. And this figure comes from research from IDC. And it does sound like it's a lot of headsets, but it indicates Sony was actually looking to produce 2 million PSVR2 units to be sold by the end of March. And you're talking about just a little bit over of 250,000. Vice President of Data and Analytics at IDC San Francisco told Bloomberg that Sony would need to cut the price of the PSVR2 to stop its launch from being, quote, a complete disaster. I mean, you think about this. The headset is already $549.99, and you can't play this thing by itself. You need to have a PlayStation 5. So now you're in another $500. So you have to have $1,050 for the entry point to the PlayStation VR 2 experience. And then you start tacking on video games. Sony came in, hard hitting with their Gran Turismo and their Horizon series, which have gotten some amazing reviews. I believe IGN gave it a 9 out of 10 review. It's got some really fancy, sensitive tactile controllers and some eye tracking stuff and high fidelity screen, which, great HD video visuals. But it is an expensive entry point in a time where right now Inflation is through the roof, and people are probably a little bit more concerned with putting things on the table to eat than they are putting things on their head to escape the fact that they don't have something on the table to eat. So yeah, maybe cutting that price point to a $2.99 would probably be the sweet spot for it. Um, and take a hit on every single one they sell and hope that they can recover the difference in software. I think that would be Sony's only way to kind of save this at this point, or else you're looking at a Virtual Boy 2.0 experience for Sony on this one. And then lastly, wanted to share some sad news. The creator of Bubsy, the Bobcat, for those of you who are old enough to remember, and there was a re-release recently of Bubsy. It was back in the 16-bit era, every company had a platformer, and Mike Berlyn created Bubsy the Bobcat. He has passed away at the age of 73. He started working in the game industry back in 1981, helping to produce and release PC games. Over the years, he worked for game companies like Sentient Software, 989 Studios, EA, Activision, Accolade, of course, and then he is most well known for creating Bubsy, the platforming Bobcat, and he appeared in a number of games over the years. While Berlyn actually only worked on two of those games, which was the original '93 platformer, and then again in Bubsy 3D, he did create, for better or for worse, one of the most iconic toon platforming mascots of its day. Our hearts go out to anyone impacted by Mr. Berlyn's loss, and it's a sad day for video games and in general. And rest in peace, Mike Berlyn, and thanks for the memories. Well, guys, that's it for today. Let me know if you guys have any fond memories of E3 or Bubsy the Bobcat. Hit that subscribe button, and as always, make sure to follow at twitch.tv/starflagmedia, as well as youtube.com @starflagmedia. And thanks for playing.